He's late again. Okay, let's take care of that right now.
Ah!
Holy, what was that? Okay, we'll just wait a second. I'm sure he'll be back.
Oh, cow, Darlene, that was close.
You were late. I had no choice.
Yeah, but I know, but holy cow, man, that could have been really bad. It was bad for me to begin with. Holy.
It's okay, I don't think anybody saw anything.
Oh, well, anyways, hi.
You didn't see anything.
I hope not. Anyways, welcome to the Book Nook. Mojo Book Nook, hi. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Better now that I have clothes on.
Yeah.
So anyways, tell us why we're here today, Darlene.
Today, we are here to do something a little bit different than we've done previously.
We should warn them to put the kids away first, eh?
Yes, put your kids away.
Yeah, this is a kind of controversial subject. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. No pun intended. And the reason we say that is why? What are we talking about today, Darlene?
Today, we are reviewing a book off my shelf called A New History of Witchcraft. Now, before you panic and freak out, it's actually a history book. It covers the world history of several pagan religions from all over the world. What I'm actually going to focus on today is the Inquisitions in Europe, the Burning Times, and the Salem witch trials.
When I was skimming through the book, as Darlene said, it goes through everything, where witchcraft started back in Africa when they were first starting down chants and tribal customs, up to modern day.
Yes.
So I'm glad we're focusing on the things that are really, really important. The Burning Times in Europe with the Inquisitions, and the Salem witch trials.
The Inquisitions in Europe began, of course, because of the church, and every time something sort of went a little wrong, if the crops failed or if the animals died, whatever, instead of saying, oh, we had a bad year, next year will be better, it was always, it must be witchcraft.
Or the devil is about.
Yes.
Because chaos with lightness and dark, everything was good or bad. There was no in between, it was one or the other.
So around about 1450, the Inquisitions began, and over a period of about 300 years, from 1450 to 1750, they tortured over 110,000 people for really no reason other than superstition and fear and ignorance.
It's because they didn't conform.
Exactly.
Because a new religion was out, organized religions came into the time, but these people still wanted to practice their ways, so unfortunately...
Yeah, so the old religions were either going underground or they were on their way out. So in 1487, there was a very controversial book published called the Malleus Maleficarum, which translates to Hammer of Witches.
Yes. But Pope Innocent had the original papers about that, and they adopted the papers into the Malleus.
The Malleus. So the Malleus was written in 1487 by Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Springer. It was sort of a handbook on how to torture and murder people, but it was sanctioned by the church because you had to be a witch.
Now let's talk about this briefly for a minute. Most of these people lived on the outskirts of the city, and they were people who were the medicine women, the midwives,
the herbalists,
yes,
the healers.
If you had a problem in your city, you would go to this person. Only the rich could afford doctors, but you had a person in the community that knew about herbal medicines. That's who they would go to.
And they generally tended to be elderly women. They might be widowed or maybe were never married. They tended to keep to themselves, so people were a little suspicious of them to begin with. So after the book came out, the church had a perfect manual, a handbook, for what to look for, the signs of being a witch, the signs of being in cahoots with the devil, which incidentally, witchcraft and the devil have no connection whatsoever. That's a whole nother subject.
We're talking about history.
Yes. Actual history, not superstition and misinformation.
Now let's briefly talk on just a couple of these trials, just briefly, because there's tons. There was one that was called Swimming the Witch. So what would happen is they'd tie a rope around you, throw you over a bridge with rocks on the ropes, and then let you go around the river and confess, are you a witch? Now, anything that was in this book with these tests and trials, dunking stools, you name it, you've seen it on the movies. If you confessed, guess what?
They kill you.
They kill you. If you don't confess, guess what?
You drown.
You drown and you die or whatever.
There was, once you were accused, there was no real way to escape. A lot of people died in prison.
Yes.
But the majority of them that went through the actual trial and the testing to see whether or not they were a witch, there was no way to win.
It.
You couldn't win.
Even if you said you were, even if you weren't, guess what happened?
They still killed you.
He still killed you, even though you had an innocent soul.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
The burning times happened. We talked about that briefly, but then, as we know, Puritans came to North America, Plymouth Rock, right?
Exactly. And a lot of them settled in Massachusetts, in the States, near a nice, quaint little village called Salem.
Yes. And you've heard about this many times,
yes.
but let's get the facts straight.
So, I want to clear that up a little bit. What happened in Salem Village, not Salem Town, there was a lot of tension between the church and the townspeople and the villagers and the townspeople, because Salem Village and Salem Town were two separate entities. Then, in 1689, there was a new minister appointed. His name was Samuel Parris, and a lot of people really, really liked him, and a lot of people really, really didn't like him, which caused a larger rift amongst the townspeople and the villagers.
But the thing that really set it off was an event that happened.
Yes. Samuel Parris had a West Indian slave woman. She was a slave. Her name was Tituba. And he caught his niece, Abigail Williams, and his daughter in the woods with Tituba, and they were...
And some other
girls from the village.
Of very, very popular people in the village at the time. So this was outlawed. Dancing was outlawed back then.
So they were caught dancing, and they were, doing love spells and just kid stuff. They were messing around. They had
with Tituba.
Yeah, they had no comprehension of what they were doing, and she was just more or less entertaining the girls. It was a little bit of fun on her part.
Unfortunately, though,
the Reverend caught them.
Yeah,
that didn't go over so well.
But he also hid something for a long time because he never said anything about them dancing.
Yes.
We'll get to that later on. So, hysteria started.
Yes.
In front of everybody. There was 4 people at the time when they found out, because they heard the screaming and were going to investigate things, and they found the girls dancing. He saw them first and got there first before the other 3. But then, Tituba was put through hell.
Yes. And she was actually saved because after a little whipping and a little torture and a little whatnot, she confessed.
Yeah, she said she signed her name in the devil's book.
Yep. She said, "Oh, the devil has possessed me. He's taken me." And then she said, "Please save my soul."
So from that day on, she was put into jail. But tell them about how many other people were accused and why.
Yes. So the actual witch trials began around February of 1692. Between February of 1692 and May of 1693, there were over 200 people accused of witchcraft in Salem Village. 30 of them were found guilty and put in prison, and 19 were executed.
Now, this all started for 3 reasons. 1, the church, and what they had down as principles for things that were happening in the community. It was the devil or a witch was about. The second thing is greed. Because if you get rid of those people and they have good property and call them a witch, you can buy up their property. And number 3 is a new scientific fact that has come out because the girls were doing all these things.
The girls were suffering hallucinations, paralysis, seizures,
rashes. One gentleman who was on the actual trial after the first trial of Bridget Bishop, am I correct?
Bridget Bishop was the first person found guilty. She was actually hanged in June of 1692. And 10 days from her trial until her hanging, after she was found guilty, one person, Nathaniel Saltonstall, who was actually one of the judges, resigned after she was found guilty. He tried to stand up to them, and he actually ended up tendering his resignation.
And fought for the families after the fact, even though he wasn't on the court, and said to them the reason why they could not accept any of the testimony from the children, A, because they're children, and B, they were trying to put spiritual evidence saying somebody possessed them.
Yes, spectral testimony it was called.
The third thing was the new evidence that has come out, which is...
ergot poisoning.
Because there was a rye. There was a problem with the rye. They grew all their own food.
It grew mold.
Yeah.
They grew it, they harvested it, it was a little bit on the damp side, and it started to grow mold, which...
started the hallucinations.
Yes,
and
exactly. And the seizures, and the rashes, and the paralysis, and everything. All of the physical symptoms were real, yes. But it was poisoning.
Yes.
From eating the bread that was made with rye that was contaminated with ergot.
And greed, and making an example of stamping it out here so it doesn't happen anywhere else in North America. And it didn't. Now the kicker is, out of the people who were charged, how many got hung? 19?
18 people were hung.
And
one was actually pressed to death. They put stones on top of him.
Yes, and kept asking him to confess after each stone, and he kept saying, more weight.
Yes.
More weight. His name was Giles Corey.
And if you watch The Witch in Kitchen, you will see in the opening the two prints that are hanging on the kitchen wall.
Yes.
One is of the Salem Witch House, and the other one is of the Salem Memorial Wall, and the one stone that you can see in that print is Giles Corey's stone.
Now let's go on to something that was made from the Salem Witch Trials.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Crucible.
Yes, exactly. The movie, The Crucible, was based on a play by a gentleman named Arthur Miller, who actually was married to Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, he was, for a very short time.
About 6 years.
That's right.
Or maybe 5 years, from mid-50s to 61 or something.
So he wrote a play on the incident, on the things that happened here in Salem with the witch trials, called The Crucible.
And it was written in 1953, and it was a stage play, and it was actually very popular.
So popular that it ended up being made into movie adaptations. One of the most popular ones was back in 1996. The Crucible, you might remember Daniel Day-Lewis starred as John Proctor.
And Winona Ryder starred as Abigail Williams, who was
the
Samuel Parris's niece.
Who started all the problems.
Yes. Now, this movie, even though it's a drama, it's not a documentary, it stayed very, very true to facts. Now, they did leave out the part about the ergot poisoning, but I believe that this movie was made before that discovery was made.
It was, because that was back in the 90s. But as we continue, it goes through the story of all the people, why they were tried. The gentleman who, Nathaniel Saltonstall, was played by another gentleman, but he is still that same character fighting right till the end.
Yes, there is actually a character in the movie. I can't remember the name of the character, but he is based on
He's based on him. The very important thing at the end of this, John Proctor says a very important thing. Share that with them, please.
John Proctor refused to confess because he didn't want to tarnish his family's name.
All you had back then was your family's name.
Exactly.
And your legacy.
Exactly. And he had a wife and children.
And another one on the way.
Yes, and another child on the way. And he was actually in the last group of 3 people that were hanged. And Giles Corey, the gentleman that was pressed to death, his wife, Martha Corey, was actually the last woman that was hanged.
And Goody Nurse was the other one who was the second one accused. Yes. So the second one accused, the fourth one accused, and the last one accused all hung at the same time. Tituba walked out with all the other people. The reason why we bring these things up to you is just to let you know a little bit about history, fact, and to set some records straight, because I want to share something with you just briefly. This is the Canadian Multi-Faith International Media. It talks about the religions here in Canada, and wouldn't you know, right there, it says Wicca. Over 220,000 practicing Wiccans in Canada right now, as of this book, 7 years ago, and it's been updated since.
I just wanted to mention as well that Wicca, even though it's a new religion, it came about in the 1940s. It's based on old traditions and old beliefs. It's a very nature-based religion. Witches don't worship the devil. Witches don't even believe in the devil. So when people tell you that witches are devil worshippers, they're wrong. Do a little research.
I didn't tell you to put your kids away because we eat them.
Yes.
Another stereotype.
Yeah, we don't wear pointy hats, and we don't eat children, and we
lightning
don't worship
bolts
the
don't
devil.
shoot out of my arse when I come into the frame on scene. So, moving right along, let's talk about the ratings.
So, a good rating is out of 5 black cats, with 5 being the best.
And a bad ratings out of hairballs, with 5 being the worst.
A New History of Witchcraft by Jeffrey B. Russell and Brooks Alexander, and you can probably find it on Indigo Chapters. Based on the amount of history that's in this book, the research that has gone into it, it covers everything beautifully. It's very true to fact. It's a little bit older book, so like I said, the ergot poisoning, when it mentions the Salem witch trials, is not in there, but we can't fault them for that because that information wasn't known at the time that this was published. I don't often give a rating of 5 black cats, but 5.
Really?
5 black cats for A New History of Witchcraft.
That's really impressive. Now, I got to admit, I haven't read much of this, but I can skim books really fast. I've seen a lot of the stuff in other books. They cover everything here. Woodcuts, old posters, incredible book. I'm going to give this 4.5 black cats. Check this out.
It's beautifully illustrated. It has many, oh, there's a picture right there of the Salem witch trials.
And we're not even going to do the movie because that's up to you. We can say what we want about it, but we've had so much more information. That's why I directed you to the History Channel link that you can find on YouTube.
Yes.
Go check that out. It's all new stuff. It's called The New History of Modern Witchcraft. All new evidence, scientific. Check it out on YouTube. Or if you have the History Channel, go check it out.
And there are a number of movies and documentaries about the Salem witch trials, and also about the burning times in Europe, about the Inquisitions in Europe in the 14, 15, 16, 1700s.
And then over this way to North America.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
it went on and on. Some sources say possibly up to 1 million people due to poor record keeping.
Poor record and records being destroyed.
Yes, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming out, and thank you for coming out and joining us here at the Mojo Book Nook. Holy cow, Darlene. Jeez, what are you doing?
At least your hair is better.
Oh, here we go again with the hair. What's up with the hair?
Well, you know, you seem to have switched totem animals.
Oh, don't start this now. Seriously,
No
don't.
more horned owl. Now you look like a rockhopper penguin.
Oh, are you kidding me? Are you serious?
You got a bird theme going on here. Like, what do you want me to do?
Like, why? Why do I do this, man?
You said you could put a bowl on your head.
No, you're not putting a bowl on my head, and don't even say it. I didn't use a freaking Flowbee either. Man, oh man, give me the strength ISIS, please. So, is that all? That's all we got to talk about witchcraft?
I think that's it, yeah.
There's nothing more you want to say?
No, not really. Only the hair.
Are you serious? Listen, I thought we got that over at the beginning of the show. Now you're going to start on me again?
That's it, just the hair.
Just the hair. What about the hair?
It looks much better than it did last time.
Thank
It's
you.
shorter, and it's nicer. And now you look like a penguin rather than a horned owl.
Oh, see, why do I even bother? You know what? I'm getting out of here. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Oh well, I guess I get to do this by myself. Oh well, I guess I get to finish up on my own. Thanks for coming out to the Mojo Book Nook. Please like and subscribe.
No, it's okay.
What? What do you want me to do?
No, I
wasn't listening.
Oh, I know, and that's my problem.
I get confused.
Listen, all you
Okay.
gotta say now is just, oh, well, I guess I get to do this by myself. And that's it.
Oh, you're back.
Well, of course I'm back. We gotta finish up. I'm not that much of a pain in the butt. Well, I hope not, am I?
No.
Anyways, you know what to do. Thank you very much for coming out and joining Darlene and I again at the Mojo Book Nook. And remember,
Like and subscribe.
and please share with your friends.
And hit that little bell icon.
Yes, this one right here. Hit that bell icon so you stay updated on all our new videos. And check out our old videos as well. A rockhopper penguin, are you kidding me? Totem animals, that was our last one, but really, a rock. Oh, Darlene.
Oh, you gotta see these little guys. They are the cutest little things. Just Google rockhopper penguin and look at the pictures.
Yeah, but it's not as cute as a platypus. But anyways, take care now. Bye-bye. Have yourself a smiley, happy day.